All right, here we go. We're getting started. Making sure we're in all the right places. So if you're tuning in, go ahead and say hi. I'm curious, how's your Monday going? So hello, and if you're not sure, if you haven't seen this series so far, I'd say I go live daily, but that would not be the honest truth. It's nearly daily, depending on what happens. As you're running a business, as I'm running a business, and also have kiddos, and a husband and a house and all of that things. Sometimes a true consistency can be a little bit of a struggle. But as long as the intent is to show up daily, right? The intent is daily, and we do our absolute best to show up daily. That is what matters. And if we hit it at 95%, then that's fantastic. Um, we are humans, and perfection will never be achieved, because perfection is found in the moment and only in the moment. So we do not get caught up in the past or future. We don't get caught up in it. Doesn't mean we can't explore it. So today we're talking about a quote. So I have this beautiful stack of quotes that are motivational quotes. And in this series, I am presenting this quote, and we're taking a deeper dive at what the quote really means and how we can apply it to our lives and also into our businesses. So today's quote is actually one that I totally love. I didn't even know this was a quote. So literally, I picked these up. I do a little reflection on it, and then I come to you about it. So this is actually something that I say all the time, and I didn't realize that there's another genius person. I'm playing another genius person that has also written this down, and it made it onto the quote. All right. So do not wait. The time will never be just right. Start where you stand and work with whatever tools you may have at your command, and better tools will be found as you go along the way. So that bottom part is the part that I'm constantly talking about. And maybe you've heard this, maybe you haven't, but this ability to take imperfect action is crucial, especially in our business, but also in life. So I posted this thing that I had heard, and this person I paid for this course at one point years and years ago when I was really trying to take my business to the next level and taking it online as well. And she had played with this idea of, if, or when this happens, then I'll do that. And we get caught up in it so much. And I've read this more and more now in a lot of self-help books. But to notice it and to really take the time today to notice those thoughts that come through your mind of when you're like, oh, well, I'll get to that when, or what are those big dreams that you really, those aspirations that you have, and you're thinking, well, I'll get to that when I do this, or when I finally achieve this, then I can do that. So maybe it's like, we'll take a really great example. I'll start taking a twice a year luxury vacation once I hit 1 million in my business. Maybe that's something. Or maybe, right, the classic is, I'll have kids when I finally have a savings account of this amount. Or I'll finally write that book when I accomplish this. So noticing that when we get caught up in what I call the waiting limbo, we get stuck in waiting limbo. And it can be excruciating, because what ends up happening is when we're stuck in waiting limbo, we just keep waiting and we just keep waiting. Before we know it, a year's gone by, 5 years have gone by, 10 years have gone by. And maybe it's that thing that's on your bucket list, or maybe it's that thing that is on your yearly, like we write out all the things that we want to accomplish. I have this beautiful journal. It's somewhere around here. Here it is. I'll show you. I really love these, the life planners. These are really great. And at the beginning of it, it has you write down 100 things that you want to accomplish. Now, I will say over the years, that's really shifted for me. I used to create this list of at least 50 things. And normally around 50, you start to kind of get a little stuck on going, oh, what were all those things? But I used to have a really easy time because I had this like horrible, not horrible, but this just like lengthy list of all these things that I felt like I had to accomplish. And I find more and more over the years that list is really getting smaller. And at first that kind of bothered me because I was like, "Oh, there's all these things that I wanted to do and now I not have aspirations like I used to?" And I thought that there might be something wrong, but then I realized that I was actually just getting more and more clear on the things that really mattered to me. So I ask you, like, do you have a list? Who uses this or something like it? But do you have this big list of things that you want to accomplish in life? And are you actively pursuing them? And maybe literally strategically, there are things that need to happen to make it happen. But are you getting stuck in thinking, I have to accomplish this, or I have to do this, or I have to be this before I can do that? So this is something that we teach within manifestation. This is also something, and I say we, multiple people, not just me, but something that I teach in manifestation. When we're looking at manifesting something, we are not trying to become something. We have to step into the energy of what we want to become by becoming it now. So if you want to become the successful business owner, you have to step into that energy now and not feel so disconnected of it, not put this thing as it's in the future. You have to step into, and that's why that daily meditation, and maybe it's your sanctuary meditation, of stepping into that energy of going, what would my higher self do? Or what would my future self do? And instead of saying it my future self, but what is my successful business owner that I'm channeling? Who is that person? How do they think? What would they do? And there's one beautiful person, I can't think of her name at the moment. But she had taught me at one point, instead of meditating on the higher self that you want to be and those goals and aspirations, sit into that and take it to one step higher. So my higher self, instead of saying future self, we'll say higher self. My higher self, what would they be meditating on and trying to manifest? That's what I really want to focus on because I want to come from the point of being that next level. So, right now, in this moment, we need to become that next level self. We need to be acting like them. And that can be really fun, actually. So, it can be really fun to go, okay, that version gets up and gets dressed. That version is having coffee meetings, and that version is showing up in this way. And we show up and we take that imperfect action because we take it as if we are already the person that we are trying to become. And this amazing thing, so referring back to this quote at the bottom part, you may have all the tools that you have at your command now, but also, like, not being limited, not saying, "Oh, well, I only have these tools." When we start to say only and never and always, like, those are such, like, negative vibes, and we cannot put ourselves in those negative vibes because when you're at it, the tools that you really need to take it to the next level, they will come. They will come. So, it's like, "Oh, well, I don't have all this figured out, so I can't take action yet." Honey, you are not gonna figure it out and then take action. You have to take the action and you will be figuring it out as you go. So, I'm gonna take some examples of like some scenarios where it's like, I want to be a famous singer. Just throwing that out there. So then I need to have my songs prepped for karaoke night so that I can get up on stage and I have my 3 to 5 songs that I can just blast it out and wow people because it's in front of a large group of people. So I need to be practicing because that's what a professional would do, just as an example. If you are wanting to be a successful business, and you're like, I imagine myself up, like pitching my business and getting investors and having people. Great. Do you have your slide deck ready to pitch? Because once you start working on that and getting that ready, you will pitch it and you'll get feedback. And then you will continue to refine it. We have to take the action now from the space of our higher self and what our higher self is wanting, what our higher self is accomplishing. So we have to take that action now. So for those of you that have not heard of the book On a More Masculine Energy, versus I am speaking very much from a more feminine energy at the moment, and if you're not really sure what that means, just send me a message. I can explain it. So from a more masculine energy, there is the book and the workshop, the 12-week year. And what I recommend when doing that, because I typically, as most creatives, I have a million ideas, as I was just talking about, like listing out the 100 things that you want to accomplish in your life. And I brain dump into a spreadsheet and all the things I want to accomplish. And anytime I get an idea, I put it back over there into that brain dump page or tab. And then I can break those off into groups. And then I can say, what are the things that like I really feel like I need to accomplish within the next 12 weeks or 3 months? And as we start to actually put those down onto the weeks and sub-break them out and all of that, we can start to move past the blocks of going like, right, this typical New Year's resolutions are, I want to lose 50 pounds or I want to lose 20 pounds. Well, first you got to lose the first 5, then you got to lose, the next 5. And if you want to write a book, first you need to create an outline. And you can't create the outline until you write a general summary of like who you're writing it for and why you're writing it and what's the purpose of the book. Then we write the outline. Then we can include the stories that go along with the lessons that we want to teach. And it's the same, if you're creating a course. So how can we then break that down into chunks? So it's like, okay, week 1, I'm going to write my summary. Week 2, I'm going to write my outline. Week 3, I'm going to infuse the stories into it. And while you start, it's going to be messy. So starting where you stand, it's going to be messy. It is not going to be perfect. And you are going to keep refining and refining. Life moves in a circle. It is very circular. So as we approach a problem, we hit that problem and then we feel like we've solved the problem. But then we come back and around in life and it's like, oh, I hit the same problem again, but we're approaching it in a different way. And then, oh, the same problem keeps showing up in my life, but I'm going to approach it and I'm going to learn and I'm going to get a little bit better at how I approach that problem. Oh, that same problem happened again, right? So life is secular. And as it's secular, we're also moving through the seasons. So with each season, our mind, our body, our heart moves in different ways as well. And I'll be teaching more about this in the Warrior Goddess training, about the seasons and how we move. And I definitely apply an Ayurveda approach to that as well, because, there's the Warrior Goddess training, and then there's these additional things that we can learn, where all the beauty from our earth sciences, and not like about the earth, but more of our spiritual earth sciences. There's so many beautiful things that our ancient wisdom have coinciding factors, and from all over the world. It's so beautiful. So when we can learn to start rebuilding our trust with ourselves, and we can root ourselves in our own wisdom, in the wisdom that is genetically there within us, and when we can root ourselves in not perfection, because honestly, what I have found over the years, that perfection is messy and imperfectly perfect. When you go into an old house and you see like where it's fallen apart in some places, and where the molding might be slightly off, and these imperfections that people have had to fix over the years, and it's amazing. It's so beautiful just to see the time that has passed throughout this home. And we can see the beauty in the imperfections of an old historical home. But yet, for us, for our own selves, sometimes we cannot see the beauty of our imperfections. And it's amazing, like when you fall in love and someone accepts you fully as you are, and they even love your imperfections. Maybe your imperfections make them smile. So allowing ourselves to embrace the imperfect and really see the imperfect as the perfect. That if someone was absolutely perfect on everything, which perfect is relative, right? We all have a different version of perfect. But if someone was absolutely perfect, we probably wouldn't trust them. So we need to be authentic and we need to be vulnerable, but not just with others, but with also with ourselves. So we'll come back to this quote one more time. Do not wait. The time will never be just right, because when we say just right, we're saying perfect. Start where you stand. So right now, and if you don't have that full motivation right now, then ask yourself, are you really truly rooted in a mission? And work with whatever tools may be at your command. So there are tools at your command that you may not even know of, but we have to identify what we want, what the problem is, and what is done look like. What is the solution? We have to start every project that way, any task that we're wanting to accomplish. And if we're not even 100% sure, we just write down what we can, and then we root ourselves in a mission that we step forward into it imperfectly, because the better tools will be found as you go along. As you take action, the tools that you need will appear. We had a brainstorming session, which I'm doing every other week now. And it was like, hey, bring to the group, what it is you're working on, and maybe something like maybe a hang up, or maybe just tell us what you're working on and see if we can give you any solutions. And it was beautiful. They gave me a list of like 8 different tools that I could utilize through social media and through the internet that could help me solve my problem. So they gave me one step further. But we have to be rooted in our mission, and we have to take action in order for that to happen. So I hope you love this quote. I would love to hear what you really are. Maybe you're stuck in waiting on something. Maybe you're stuck in this waiting limbo where it's like, I want to do this, but I'm stuck in the, when I do this, then I can do that. And I think it's important for us to share these, because the more we can bring awareness to this, the more other people can see that it's actually normal. When we're all pretending to be perfect and we're all fearful of being vulnerable, then we keep creating and fueling this unrealistic image or ideal that no one else is thinking the way I am. And we start separating ourselves. We start clinging more to our ego from a more philosophical thought. And when we don't show up vulnerable, we're not allowing other people to say, yeah, that's me too. So that we can cling together, and then we can solve our problems together. So I'd love to hear what you're stuck in, what you're waiting in, and see if someone else can give you some advice or point you in the right direction to help you move closer and closer to the goal that you are wanting to take action to. So I'm going to go do some research on George Herbert. I don't know much about him, but I do really love his quote that he talked about today, or that we talked about today. So I hope that today you can take action or begin the planning for something that you've been avoiding or feeling like you have to wait until you accomplish something else. I'm Izzy Nally, and I'll see you tomorrow.